Hi guys. So a lot of the times we talk about why we really need a business plan, right? I mean, you're passionate, you're instinctual, you have an idea, you know what you want to do. Why do you have to put this really down to numbers? And a lot of young entrepreneurs ask me, say, I'm really good with people, I'm good with operations, but numbers I just can't handle. And unfortunately, the news is, and the truth is that if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be as comfortable with people as you are with numbers, as you are with operations, as you are with strategy, because you can't be an entrepreneur unless you're a jack of all. So if you don't have the comfort with numbers, it's better that you acquire it now, because you're going to need it every step of the way, whether it's to make your business better, to make it more productive, to raise the right kind of funding, to get the right kind of capital structure, to attract the right kind of investors and money. So get comfortable with it now. And really, when you're thinking about a business plan, the question is, why is it? It's not this complicated nuclear science stuff thing that we all think that it is. It's actually really simple. What we're trying to do is to figure out that on the revenue side, what are the levers that are really going to drive my business? Is my business a B2C business? Is it a B2B business? If there are different channels through which I'm getting revenue, can I separate the different channels and really think about how I'm going to drive business? To give you an example, let's take Metropolis, which is my business. It's a chain of pathology labs, right? We now have 2,000 centers, we have 150 labs. And if I think about how do we really drive revenues? So one way is to say my existing 2,000 centers, how are they going to grow? And I'll take year 1, year 2, year 3 and say each of these centers incrementally, let's say, is going to grow at 10% per year, 15%. Now, how did I get that number? I'm going to look at the industry growth and I'm going to say an existing center is going to only be able to capture a certain amount of the location. So the same center, how much more business do I think I can drive in it? So if I'm getting 20 patients a day today, do I think I can take it to 25? Yes. But do I think I can take it to 50? Unlikely if that center has been around for a while. If it's a completely new center, maybe. So you want to project those revenues for yourself. Then you take the next channel, which you say, okay, now I'm going to open 700 new centers. And you say, now the new centers, how do I get my revenue projections going? You go back to your 2,000 centers and see what the average revenue per year for your new centers were from your existing 2,000 centers. And you'll get some historical patterns as to how your center started, at what revenue, and how they grew and how they evolved over the last few years. So based on that historical pattern, you say, okay, my new centers are only going to start by giving me a lakh per month, or a lakh, 12 lakhs per year. But in the next year, that's going to go to 24, and the third year, it's going to go to 30. And based on that, you draw out patterns for your new centers. Then you may say, okay, now I have potential B2B clients or institutional clients. Today, I have 500 customers who are giving me X amount of business. Can I grow my business from X to X plus 20% from these 500 customers? Or is it only 15 or is it only 25? That depends on your pulse of the market, going and judging and meeting your customers and figuring out, are they splitting business? Are they giving you their exclusive business? Is there a way you can get a bigger piece of their pie and in their wallet? Because remember, getting more business from your existing customer is always cheaper than going and acquiring a new customer. So you want to actually build depth in your existing customer base rather than only doing new customer acquisition. Then you'll go to the new customer acquisition, which, like we said, will be more expensive, and figure out how many more customers can I add. Now, sometimes people make a mistake by only focusing on existing customers and not expanding their new customers at all. And that's a mistake as well, because you need to expand your breadth while you're expanding your depth. And you need to do both of them parallelly. How much time you spend on depth versus how much time you spend on breadth depends a lot on the stage of the business you're at. If you're at an early stage business, getting good customer testimonials is extremely important. I would focus on depth and making sure that my customers are really happy with the product or the service that I'm providing, so they can refer me to another 5 customers who can also become my customer. If you get too split thin and your team is small and you have too many customers to cater to, your existing customers may suffer, and therefore you may not build the reputation that you want to build that's going to help you really grow from there. So that's one of the things to keep in mind. Once you have your revenue plans and your projections for the next 3 years, you then want to give a sense to, how am I going to look at my costs? Identify your big cost buckets. Is it manpower? Is it administration? Is there a cost of sales? Is there a cost of consumables or your production cost or your processing cost? And identify, or sales and marketing. These are your 3-4 main buckets that will be attributed to your revenue. And you want to start getting some sense of what the competition, if you have competition, are benchmarking those numbers at. So what is your competition growing at? What is your percentage of revenue of manpower, what is your percentage of revenue of admin, how much are people spending as a percentage of revenue for marketing, and start getting those benchmarks and having some idea of how much profit you should be making at the end of the day. If your industry profit for all other competitors is about 20%, you want to think about that, hey, is there a way I can differentiate my business so I can be at 22% of revenue? The higher, the better the profitability. You're showing that you're able to charge a premium for your service or product, which means you're differentiated. So that's one of the indications of being best in class and being better than your competitors. You also want to grow faster than your competitors, right? That's very critical because that means you're gaining more market share as you go. But the best way to make a business plan, guys, I remember making my first business plan and I had no clue how to do it, is just to get an Excel spreadsheet out, start doing your revenue projections, start doing your cost projections. It's not going to be perfect, and that's fine. Your first draft, your second draft, your third draft will probably be inaccurate, and that's okay. But what's important is you start thinking analytically, you start putting those numbers down, and just start getting things ready. Get a good mentor, get an advisor who can help you run through the drafts once you put your pen to paper, and that's the only way to get it perfect.